Welcome one and all. A fresh new episode 10-something of Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast. Max.
Oh, this is going to be so frustrating because
You're thinking
I'm the one that types
108?
I want to say 108.
Not important. Another important list.
It is for me. No.
Another important list is our top 500 songs of all time.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. That's this whole podcast. Let's start.
I will say this, Get Your Freak On is not in my top 10. Just outside my top 10. And Hey Yeah as well, just outside my top 10. But not.
I'm all for redoing it. And a lot of the songs that they included are very good. Get Your Freak On's great. Hey Y'all's great. Actually, one of my biggest things is the highest ranked Beatles song is Strawberry Fields Forever. No.
This is a Rolling Stones top 5. They obviously were trolling a little bit because after seeing this list, you've seen it's very dated.
Yeah,
I just bring it up because I texted Vince. I go, you've got to look at this list. I go, or don't look at this list because it's going to get you upset. And then I get a response going, I looked at the list. Mm-hmm. I am so out of whack right now.
I was so frustrated.
They're trying to get a reaction. They're trying to get a reaction, or they're doing a lot of illicit things over there and need a urinalysis test. Either or.
Well, that's when Rolling Stone was great. When they were doing
when they were doing that.
They're trying to get this is the internet culture we have, right? It's much better to do something crazy so that we're all talking about it, whether good or bad. Whereas when it was just the magazine, I feel like it was a little more.
I saw Carson Daly on one of his many shows he works on. He lost it, and then Rolling Stone published his reaction. I go, that's what they wanted.
That's exactly what they wanted. Although I will say some of Carson's picks for songs that he thought should have. I was like, what?
I go, that's what I was like.
Yeah, I was like, stop talking. Just say you don't like it. But he is doing the Today Show. It's
good. He spoke for all of us.
Yeah.
Minus his picks.
Carson Daly doesn't speak for me.
No.
Listen, Carson. No.
Carson, thanks for fighting the good fight. But simplify the message.
I like that.
Your Strawberry Fields
The best Beatles song? Strawberry Fields Forever.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Do you like that album? Did you like Sgt. Pepper's?
Yeah, I do. I've grown to like it a lot more.
Do you remember the old Yellow Submarine movie?
Yeah, I love their movies too. Still the best, I think, is In a Hard Day's Night. They're like running through a hallway and a celebrity type woman stops John Lennon. She goes, "Are you?" He goes, "No." She goes, "But." He goes, "Well, you know him better." She's like, "I think you're."
Is that A Hard Day's Night?
Yeah, and she's trying to say you're John Lennon, and he keeps going like, "No, I'm not." And he keeps like deflecting really well.
Good actors. Good
actors. Great timing.
When they go to Ringo Starr, he goes, "Do you consider yourself a mod or a rocker?" And he goes, "Actually, I consider myself a mocker." I thought that's brilliant.
Great. They had.
Wait a minute. Sorry, Manesh. What? That was a great impression. Ringo Starr here.
Again,
hello,
as we break the.
I'm a mocker.
Is it a fourth wall if it's on a podcast?
Yeah.
Our producer is talking to Max in his ear. You guys can't hear him, and has said that Max's Ringo Starr impression was not very good.
It's been a hard day's night, Manesh. What can I tell you?
No.
Ben likes it.
It's like
Ben's no.
It's like a mix.
Welcome to Liverpool. Are you red or you blue?
No, it sounds like Austin Powers mixed with Ringo.
Did I tell you my Phil Collins, Paul McCartney story? I'll say that for another day.
You have told me that. Can you tell that on the podcast, though?
Yeah. No, well, Phil Collins walked up to Paul McCartney and goes, "Paul, first time I met you, I grew up a huge fan of the Beatles. I know all your music." And then Paul McCartney looks at his wife at the time, Heather, was it?
Mills?
Heather Mills. He goes, "Did you hear that, Heather? Apparently little Phil's a big fan of the Beatles." And Phil Collins says, the way he says, he goes, "I wanted to kill him at that point."
I mean.
I go, "You son of a."
Wouldn't you?
That's great.
Do you think he would have punched him to the beat of "I Can Hear It"?
Yeah.
No, okay.
Big Phil. He didn't say little Phil. I editorialized that.
There's only one Big Phil.
Billy Phil, but he didn't say little Phil. I don't know what he said, but it sounded very condescending. What is the scariest movie you've ever seen?
I don't like scary movies.
Okay.
So almost all of them.
Okay, the movie that scares me the most.
Saw. The first Saw, because I don't like blood and guts, and he's sawing off his foot. Oh God. Ugh.
Good. Well, the scariest movie for me is Yellow Submarine Beatles animated movie. And I was a kid when I watched it.
Were
it
you
just
on
freaked
LSD?
me. Well, that's what it was, because I couldn't absorb it. And clearly it was a lot of drugs were involved in the making of this. And it freaked me out as a kid. So I can't watch it for that. I'm going to go watch it again. Yeah. Robert Zemeckis was going to remake that, but they nixed it.
A Robert Zemeckis remake of Yellow Submarine, I might.
But it was kind of that animation that was Polar Express, Beowulf.
Pass.
The Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, what was a Scanner Darkly?
Well, you tell me there, Vincent, what's your favorite Beatles song? I probably wrote it.
What's my favorite Beatles song?
Never. Just
I'll have to come.
we probably should get to the game.
Come back to me.
Okay, I'll get back to you. I heard Ringo Starr
No, stop.
has grossed more money than even more than McCartney over his single career. Yeah, Thomas the Tank Engine, great solo songs. Who knows? Whatever it is, but he's raking it in.
That's why you and I are pitching a kids podcast.
Yes.
Will never get made.
Right.
Because you and I are just terrifying for children.
Yes.
Just
Believe that is.
corrupting the.
Although
youth of
I
America.
believe the children are our future. So, believe that.
Whereas I think there's enough of them. Got enough kids.
Why aren't these kids in school? That's something Vince would say.
Yeah.
LAFC, you were in Portland.
I was in Portland.
That was a nice pivot. You were in Portland, and I was texting you during the game.
Hey,
And
can I tell you before the match though? So I'm watching.
how was it?
The match was great. The atmosphere was great. It was weird weather because that's Portland. It poured rain, then stopped. Then they watered the fake pitch, which was hilarious. 20 minutes later, then it was sunny. Then it rained a little bit. But before the game, we were waiting to get picked up by our Uber to take us to the game because we get there really early. And I'm just leaning against the hotel, watching Milan Juve on my phone, the end of the game. And this guy walks by me, like just a random white dude. And he goes, uh-oh. And I'm like, huh? And I realize I have LAFC stuff on. He goes, Timbers. And I'm going to go, okay. And he keeps going, how many cups do you have? I go, oh, okay. And Jason, our other producer, just goes, no. And the guy keeps going. And we're not even really responding to him. We're just like, yeah, later, dude. And it was like, have you seen
No,
the clip?
that's a good line.
Have you seen the clip of the two guys in New York where they just like keep adamantly flipping each other off, going back and forth? He was both those guys, and we were nobody in that. We were just like, we don't care.
He's having a conversation with himself.
I appreciate, like, honestly, and then there was like a nice older couple that walked by us and just goes, Timbers. And we're like, that's kind of cool. Like game day to have a little, because we were wearing LAFC stuff to do the pregame, just to have a little atmosphere. But that guy was like, wanted us to pick a fight with him. We were just like, good. No, random guy.
Good. I will say this about LAFC Portland before we get in. And Gio Savarese and Merritt Paulson, I've known for a long time, and I consider them friends. And Portland's a franchise that we've emulated a little bit when we were creating. All in all, I know we don't like them and they don't like us, and I can see that. But what's so great about this is how it started organically. It wasn't, okay, Galaxy LAFC, we hate each other, and it's built. Yeah. Seattle, blah, blah. Portland LAFC, just every chapter is built into it, to me, continues to be absolute must-see national game. Yeah. And still the Galaxy is always going to be the number one rivalry, but it's still kind of hanging on the back wheel of that rivalry. And that was another chapter, and it hurts to lose to them, and it stings them when we beat them. But I love how it started from this, and it's growing organically.
Yeah, you could feel it. It was a good game, regardless of the result. Like you could feel the tension. You could feel.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
You know, I had forgotten how well Portland had been playing coming into that game. Like they're on a nice little streak of their own. Really.
Unbeaten now in 5, 4 wins.
Unbeaten in 5. And yeah, it's not one of those unbeaten in 11, oh, there's 8 draws. No, they're winning games. And so I had forgotten that. Credit to Bob after the match, because I looked at Gio Savarese, who was doing the Jose, like going nuts. And Bob just waiting there. And
shake hands.
Goes and shakes his hand.
No eye contact.
No. Bob was actually somewhat gracious. I thought Bob, because I was like, okay, Gio's laying it on.
That had to be a tough.
Gio's laying on heavy right here. Right. Bob just waited. And actually.
Gio does wear the emotions on his sleeve like that. And sometimes you watch it, that's fine. That's fine.
Most of us get upset because we're like, why has he got to do that? I've seen other games against other teams. That's him.
That's him. And look, he was under a lot of pressure.
He was.
For this game. Who knows?
Should have been. Because
he should have been a lot of pressure.
Their roster's very good. They added 2 very good fullbacks, which was an area of concern for them. They've lost Eric Williamson, which is a bummer, because I think for all U.S. national team fans, he was one of my bright spots over the summer.
Kind of a need right now for the U.S. men's national team. Yeah, a guy, an organizing midfielder.
Could use an all-action midfielder that can also pass. He can dribble a little bit too. He knows the right moments to dribble. But yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I mean, guy has to play a lot of games on turf.
So Bob had to be frustrated.
You didn't like my little barb about turf there?
No, I know. I don't want to talk about it because it's like another.
I know.
If we flash the record of this club on artificial turf, and we could say how much we dislike it and how it's not up to our style, but the results, you've got to get results on turf because you're going to face Portland. We'll probably see Atlanta again. We're going to see Seattle again. It's just part of the in and outs of the LAFC schedule.
This was one of the first games where I felt like they didn't seem to.
Right.
It wasn't seemingly in their head. Like when they were in Vancouver, it's definitely in their heads a little bit. This game they just played.
Right, but that's what the frustration I think with Bob had to be when he was going. He goes, because I texted you, I said, this is the best LAFC have looked for about 30 minutes. They did whatever they wanted. Brian would go off on a run. They'd bring him down. Free kick.
Yep.
Chicho getting behind the defenders, taking on defenders.
Phenomenal.
Sifu almost
I feel bad
scoring the greatest goal in MLS history.
I know. I feel bad for
almost
Sifu
scoring
because he was very good.
He was on fire.
I love that he
all
was
three of them were amazing.
He saw the keeper off his lines, and normally you're like, let's try chip. He's like, no, I'll just shoot that bad boy, and he did.
I said, let me fix this. I said they were all amazing, not amazing. They were great, but missed the spot. Brian missed his, Sifu missed his, and we'll talk about Chicho, who continues to be the most consistent player we may have ever had.
Yeah.
It's the same positive output every game. But for just Brian and Sifu and those missed opportunities.
Where should we go first?
Which we've seen in the past. Missed opportunity?
Yeah.
Because
there were.
We've seen it.
The whole game.
We've seen this before where we could put the game away. The Galaxy game, the most recent Galaxy game comes to mind. You miss that opportunity and you pay a price for it.
Well, not just putting the game away. Brian misses his chance. I think 3 minutes later, they score off that corner. Sifu chance to make it 2-1. 3 minutes later, they score off the cross.
Exact same thing with the Galaxy.
The entire match revolved around chances to take advantages and to really not just put the team down, but then put it on the scoreboard and put that team down. And they did not take it. And Portland got 2 goals that, look, they're just kind of
scrappy,
a little fluky, a little scrappy, but that's what Portland does.
That's what they do.
They hang in games. If you get by them and they're within reach, they're going to foul you. They're going to put you down. But there was times when we created chances where we were able to get clean and clear, where Brian was able to dribble 3-4 guys. Chicho was able to do some things. And again, I thought Sifu had that look of him where he was just totally aware of his surroundings. 360 view, knew exactly where he was, knew how much time he had, knew how much pressure was here, and then could hold off pressure. I feel bad for him because some people were, getting on him, and rightfully so, and he knows it. I mean, look, man, his face. I have not seen a guy look like he saw a ghost. His face after he missed that chance, he knew right away.
How bad was that miss? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10. But people are saying it's a 10. I don't know if it's a 10 because it came to his right foot. He was in a top. He would have had to kind of bang it in.
Yeah.
It should have put that away.
I do want to.
And he does take. He takes a lot of time in front of goal. We've seen it in the past.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just preempt my my press conference question to Bob this week. I want to ask him how they talk about it. Like, how do you guys talk about a miss like that? Because when something like that happens, stuff like you and I are doing right now, is that a 10 out of 10 miss? Does he absolutely have to score there? A lot of platitudes, a lot of hyperbole, stuff like that.
No way he has a top 10 list of misses.
No, but I'm serious. I'm very curious. Like,
that's a 9.
How do professional players and professional coaches talk about it? Do they say things like that? We say like, oh, he's just got to make it there, or do they take it a little bit farther and look at the steps? Do they? I'm honestly curious. I don't ask these questions because I expect an answer. I'm honestly curious.
Bob Bradley is an incredible resource for that because he has seen and done it all and coached players from all over the world at clubs all over and countries all over the world.
And I will say this, one of the reasons why I ask is because Bob has hammered you and I multiple times for saying things, and he goes, what are you talking about? He's like, we go on the field, we're actually doing the thing. We don't talk that way. And then all you guys go off and sit on TV and go, oh, well, I think. And so I want to know, legitimately, how do professional players and coaches talk about a miss like that?
I'm going to be at the Performance Center Thursday.
Okay.
And
if I don't get my question in, will you?
Well, I always spend time with Bob, and I haven't spent any time with Bob because of COVID. So I don't want to go to the Performance Center because it's a nuisance and it's testing, and I don't.
Yeah, just one more person.
One more person, but I want to go there and I hopefully have a nice conversation so I can get through these things. I have a ton of questions because Bob's an incredible resource to ask that, so you can get real answers, and we don't have to. I don't want. Bob's been amazing because I don't want to be a phony when I'm up here, so I don't want to speak on people's behalfs, but you can break that down with Bob and some of the players. We're very lucky to have that.
Well, and you and we agree with Bob in this respect. The games have to get better, and that's not just players. That's not just coaches. That's not just referees. It's the way we broadcast games, the way we talk about games, the things in the games that we talk about. And Bob is a good resource for that because he only thinks about football.
Yeah.
I mean, really, someone told me that by the time he gets home from even a home match, he's probably already watched the games 1.5 times again.
So I've always covered on a national level, and I would talk about teams in kind of broad strokes.
Because that's what we have
that's
to.
what we do.
It's
But now
TV.
that I'm affiliated with LAFC and I see it at a closer, and I hear people talk about LAFC, and I'm like, I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah.
But I can't say that about when I talk about Atlanta or New England. I will speak the way others speak about LAFC because I'm not there on a regular basis.
Right.
So it's interesting, but I don't know how we could get to a point where you can't be so specific unless you're embedded with all these teams on a weekly basis, which is impossible.
I think it's more time of people like yourself, and there's a lot of crews that you bring up Atlanta. The Atlanta crew's great. They got Mo Adu out there now.
Mo Adu, our +1 for the San Jose game this weekend.
Wow, you actually know your +1 ahead of time. That's pretty good. You know who I have a +2 this weekend? It's going to be Jem Munoz, Connor Colopsis.
Great. You guys are doing great work.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I couldn't watch Portland. I was so upset.
Okay. The pregame and postgame, well, the postgame, the internet kind of on us. But Jessica Black was with me, and she's gotten better every week, and I love talking with her about just really breaking games down. And the pregame,
That's
postgame
awesome.
are one of the best.
110 football, giving people opportunities to get better at their craft. And I've seen it with everyone who's come there. And I don't tell Connor, but I've seen his develop as well.
Yeah, he's got better. He's going to be here in like an hour or so.
Okay. So that's fantastic. And you've seen it as well on a regular basis.
Oh,
But
and shout out to Jerry
Jerry?
Reynoso. Jerry's
Who?
the man. Yo, stop it. You know Jerry. Go see my boy Jerry out front of Bank.
Yes. Very proud
Jerry
of Jerry.
has like started with something that like a couple people will be like, "What are you doing here?" And no, look, it's not a new idea. It's like the Arsenal TV idea. It's just getting
Now he gets cheered like Jerry Springer.
And now he gets cheered. It's got to make sure it doesn't go to his head. But I will say this, and I'll look in the camera and say, Jerry, you've done a great job, and I really appreciate for an 18-year-old kid to pick up that mantle. It's not easy. So,
That's a bit redundant. 18-year-old kid.
Is it? Some people would say 18-year-old man.
Just say 18-year-old. Hey, kid.
Like
Give him a newbie.
I love the journalism tips from Max Predos.
I won't steer you wrong. So, missed opportunities.
Let's talk about Chicho now.
Chicho, man.
Chicho.
You could say, don't, and I've watched a lot of games, but MVP of the last month of MLS.
Well, okay.
That's right,
Yes.
I said it. It's just a small
He's not going to be
sample
MVP of the league, but is he the newcomer of the year?
size. I've never seen anything like this. I have. But remember when Didier Drogba arrived at this league?
Yes.
And he just tore it a new one.
Yeah.
Just scored, goal. I was like, it reminds me of that.
Didier Drogba, you know they have a lot of similarities. Didier Drogba, like a kind of a true number 9, traditional number 9. However, more than willing to go wide, more than willing to dribble guys, strong on the ball. Yeah, actually, I like that. Although I will say this.
Want to take some more journalism tips from me there, La Rosa?
That's not journalism. Didier Drogba, better free
It is because I was there and I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Drogba, better free kick taker.
I've been told to give more hot takes by Jason, who's just showed up in the control room and now is filling my ear with nonsense.
Is he also? He's probably like chewing on a bagel or something.
Yeah. He's always eating.
He is.
He's always talking about food.
All he could talk about in Portland was food.
Exactly.
He had
The
to
guy's always
drag us everywhere.
He goes, I'm going to get hangry. I go, I don't know what that means.
You know, Jason and I and our camera operator, Dan, had to jump over a train. I kid you not.
I'm glad you're here in one piece.
I kid you not. We left dinner and one of those big trains with like a bajillion cars started slowing down. And we're like, what's going on? Well, our Uber's on the other side of that train. What's going on? It was one way
Don't
in,
ever do that.
one way out. It stopped. Well, it stopped for a good 20. It was stopped. It was just stopped for a good 20 minutes. So we jumped in between the cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't do
back
that.
and
Don't do that, kids. But we look
you
back
guys will
on
look
it.
back. Hey, Jason, he's going to be a pancake on the hook. So,
we have
speaking of trains, let's get back to Chicho.
We're a new gang now, the Boxcar Kids. Yeah, let's get back to Chicho. Chicho is a train. Oh,
Yes.
Jason in my ear just said,
We've had 2
"We're off
train
the
reps. We had
rails,
Thomas the
inspired."
Train with Ringo and this.
Oh yeah.
So we're
We are the train podcast of record.
yes.
Do you want to do hockey talk? No.
No, I want to do the Thomas the Train jingle. Do you remember that?
I don't know that.
They're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8, shunting trucks and hauling. Do I have to,
Don't do the
that?
whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have children, so I don't know.
Yeah, my son loved it, and then he didn't. Kids love Thomas the Train, they get fight, and then they hate it.
That's called good parenting.
Okay. Chicho,
Yeah.
as consistent a player as you can see, he does the same thing as...
Was there ever like
you know what you're going to get out of him. It's like it's you put the ATM card in and it works, you get your money. That's what Chicho is.
Be honest though, we both were like in the first 2 games, which is a bad way to judge a player. We were like, ooh, I don't know.
But
you could see it. You knew he was good. We were like, like maybe. And now all of a sudden he's better than I could have imagined, and still has a ways to go. Could get even better.
Yes, he could. I mean, the one thing that impressed me was these runs from midfield.
Yeah.
Beats a player. I mean, he passed that ball to Sifu. That where it was. And he did that a couple times. He set up Brian the same. Yeah. He's scoring goals. Perfect from penalties, which, again, penalties are not easy.
No.
And we're winning penalties. He's part of that.
I know, finally.
We had 1 penalty until a month ago. LAFC, now we have 5.
Statistically, LAFC is one of the teams that has the most touches in the box, which you would think would mean much higher chances for penalties. No, until this past month.
That's going to continue.
It's part of the luck that we talked about. It starts to...
Chicho and Brian are both guys that will draw penalties the way they play.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's going to be a huge positive for LAFC moving forward.
Well, and Chicho picking out Brian and picking out Sifu was probably one of the other parts of the game where I was like, he's got to be a little bit better here because he's a 9. He wants the ball. He wants to do the scoring. And you and I have both picked out a few runs where he saw or didn't see guys. Was like, that's the pass. He didn't make the pass. That Sifu one, I thought he was going to take a shot, and I don't think he would have been wrong to because he made a great run. By the way, great pass from Raheem to spring that counter.
He had a couple good games.
He had an okay game. First half was a little shaky. The whole build-up was shaky in the first half. But Raheem, when they started playing a little more in transition to start that second half, was very good, which I think plays to his strengths.
Check out Raheem.
Playing fast is Raheem's strength.
Check out Raheem on LAFC's Instagram doing story time. And also, Katia is going to have a sit-down with Chicho this weekend. You can also see on our KCOP broadcast at San Jose. That trio works. I'm very excited to see it. Carlos Vela, I don't know his status.
You'll find out. You're probably going to talk to Bob. I would assume someone's going to talk to Bob about that this week.
I don't know the status of anything, but the fact no one's talking about it, I kind of thought to myself, all right, same injury, beginning of the year. You've got to be super cautious.
Well,
right?
I will say this. They showed pictures of Jamal Blackman coming to practice, and then gave him the train where they go ahead and run him through, and they beat the crap out of him.
Did you say train again?
Yeah, they said train again. It's a train. Well, you know, players come into a new team, and they have them run through, and they all slap them. I don't know why that's fun, but I guess that's what they do. There was a certain Carlos Vela in those pictures. I'll say this.
Was he in a suit and tie, or was he
No, he had cleats on, which is a good sign. Generally, if a player is far, far from recovering, because people say, "Oh, I saw Carlos on the field." I go, "Yeah, he had running shoes on. Running shoes, not a good sign. Cleats, good sign." Also,
he's gravy in this. If he comes back,
I don't know. I don't think Mahal is anywhere close, but it's good to see that he's wearing cleats and he's working, at least on the field, working his way back.
That's great. Carlos is gravy at this point, but that trio, if they can stay together, I will say this also because. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but 3 games coming up, and then we do have a break, which will facilitate the international break. And Brian's going to go, Sifu's going to go on World Cup qualifiers.
You would imagine if he's
hopefully they don't miss a game.
If he's not back by then, Carlos Vela will return.
Yes,
after that break, I would hope he'd be back.
Breaking news: Vince Scoop La Rosa breaking some news here. So we'll get to this next 3-game stretch.
I was listening to a podcast where somebody goes, you know. Back to the Beatles. I really like those. I really like Paul McCartney's songs. And somebody goes, "Oh wow, did you think Paul McCartney's songs are very good? Wow, hold on here. You think Paul McCartney's a good songwriter?" And that basically
with the Beatles, his solo music not good.
Band on the Run. No.
You ever see
Let Me Roll It? It's a good song.
You ever see Alan Partridge by?
Yes, great show.
Steve Coogan, who plays this embarrassing radio DJ. And he sees some guy listening to Wings and goes, "Oh, yeah, Wings. That's the band the Beatles could have been." I fell on the floor laughing. It's So good. Can you imagine John Lennon signing up for that? He's like,
You and I need to do a remake.
silly little love songs.
We should do a remake of
Not interested.
those Trip movies that Steve Coogan keeps doing. How
Yes.
many more of those is he going to do?
They're not that great. You have a couple good laughs, but it's a lot. It's a long movie for those payoffs.
And also do it somewhere where it's not just like, oh, Italy, oh,
Yes.
Spain, oh, France.
The Michael Caine. If you haven't seen the Trip Michael Caine scene, it's gold.
That's
Michael Caine, and then he drank all the brandy and the cigars, has changed his voice in such a way he talks very slowly.
Your English accent always drifts
Refer
into
to me as Sir Michael.
slight Bowie. Like it always has a little.
It's not. Bowie's different. Hello, Vince. It's David Bowie.
It's the kind of lisp that you put at the end.
Okay. Where were we?
We were talking about Chicho, but we should probably move on to what we have coming up
Yes.
because this podcast is going to come out
Oh, let's
very close to the game on Saturday.
Jamal Blackman
Jamal Blackman.
coming to the club.
I saw him out there taking some shots prior to the rest of the team coming out to warm up. Very tall man.
Was 6'7"?
Man, when he stands in that goal, I can't.
What does that do? Maybe that's another question for Bob. When you just see someone that size, you're like,
Well, to your point, penalties are not easy. Man, I can't even imagine setting up the ball. People think that they're like, it's only 12 yards. No one's in front of you. Well, the goalkeeper's there. And yes, he has to stand on his line. But I couldn't imagine putting the ball down and then Jamal Blackman reaches his arms out. That's an imposing figure. I'll say that. And there is a true goalkeeper competition on because,
yeah, there's leaking goals.
yeah. And some of
You
them,
want to talk about that?
some of them I think could be. I will just say
I think
this.
Thomas
That
Romero
first-
is
that
a
first
young goalkeeper.
I've always given Tomas the benefit of the doubt, and the bigger benefit of the doubt is this: he's 20 years old. Like, if you're a goalkeeper, you usually don't come good until you're 28, 29. He's got a long ways to go. Got a lot of career ahead of him. But a lot of it is about seeing angles, seeing pictures, being in situations that you've been in before. He clearly has not been in a ton of situations, so I can give him the benefit of the doubt long term. However, we are in a playoff race, and we need somebody now. So if Jamal Blackman is that person, then he should be.
Amazing the amount the goalkeepers that have come in and out of the LAFC.
Oh, let's not start on that. That's a whole.
But it's really you figure they're going to get the guy, and that's it. It's gonna fit like a jigsaw piece
someday.
I'm not saying it's Jamal Blackman, but
Yes.
Mishi Galina
Michi Galina.
from the Colorado Springs Switchbacks.
Switchbacks. Yep.
USL 2. Was that
No.
USL 1?
USL 1.
My apologies.
Yeah.
I got to watch more USL. There's so much I can watch.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you? I think more MLS teams with their scouting department
Yeah.
have all the time in the world should be watching more USL. Max Bradley.
USL has brought Mark Anthony Kaye.
Yes.
No longer with LAFC, but Canadian national. He's going to be starting every day for Colorado. Coming to be a very rich man very soon. Great midfielder. Danny Masovsky.
Danny Masovsky.
Cal Jennings.
Cal Jennings.
And now
Daniel Christosimo. Who
LAFC have really are watching USL. It's not this thing we're getting these players from South America. They do their due diligence, and they've done very well.
Well, we talked to John Thornton over and over again. He's like, it's this weird thing that we are in the same pool as teams like Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United. We're all fishing in the same ponds. However, they have tighter needs but unlimited resources, whereas we have a wider swath of needs, less resources. So they need to be much more pragmatic about how they get value and where they get value from. And anybody discounting USL as a place to get value doesn't understand how large this country is and how many players are playing professional soccer at one time and how much, like, this is the entire U.S. problem.
The world.
We miss talent.
Galina's from the Congo.
Of course.
So, as I
And
talked
from-
to Hercules Gomez, stuff falls through the cracks, not just with American players, but other players that come to university here or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, well,
Also from Mount
Montverde Academy. Mamadou Fall.
Mohamed Traore.
Mohamed Traore.
Yeah. So two places where LAFC have had, that's what I tweeted out because we were like, oh, it's not going to be good enough. I was like, first of all, you can only sign certain players. So he was not a transfer. So you're allowed to sign him. They had to send some money different places to do some things.
Is that the universal sign for sending money?
Now I'm going to get in trouble with Bob. But they had it.
It looks like you're taking and not giving.
Yeah, they had to send money to.
This is the black market little back.
Yeah, they had to send money. But don't make me lose my train of thought. You're killing me here.
Okay, USL. Big pool.
But so LAFC's gone to places where they've had success. USL, Montverde. And people are losing their minds because it's not Diego Costa. You can't get Diego Costa. And also,
or David Luiz, who's a free agent, who's going to be playing for Flamengo in the Libertadores.
Yeah, and we just spent 5 minutes on Carlos Vela, who we figure is going to be back soon. But they needed a winger. There's only how many true wingers are on this team right now? Brian.
Yeah, with Diego gone.
Diego's gone.
So
Carlos is out. It's Brian. That's it. So you need depth. I mean, look, in this game against Portland, you brought in Danny Musovski. Not many other forward options after that. There was Cal. Cal doesn't fit what was going on.
Cal Worthington?
Yeah,
Cal.
Go to Cal.
Dated reference again. But to answer people's questions, are these guys going to play? You look at the track record. Yes, they are going to play, and probably sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. So they're not here to fill out numbers.
No.
And LAFC, if you work hard and you earn a spot, they'll give you an opportunity.
Yeah.
Sometimes out of necessity because of injuries or what have you, but sometimes not. Sometimes they'll earn it and you go in. And we've seen it with every guy that we just mentioned.
And big picture-wise, maybe 4-3-3 back on, possibly.
A lot of different.
A lot of looks.
A lot of looks.
I like it. I've now grown to love it that we can change between formations. It's a very Italian thing.
Never did that
be
prior.
Tactically astute and just be like, just switch it. Just move people around. It's not working.
Catenaccio.
Oh, don't you dare.
Well, I would say this when Italy in the Euros, when push came to shove, little Catenaccio came back. And they're like,
No,
this
it's
free
not
flight, meat and potatoes.
We don't have time to actually break down what catenaccio is for you.
Yeah. It's safe.
But cacio e pepe, delicious.
Ooh.
Sorry. Again, Jason's in my ear, food. And so, we had really good food in Portland, too. I'll give them that.
Yeah. How was it? A lot of people on the streets? Remember we went to Seattle? It was, obviously COVID kind of.
Not quite. It's a little colder now, obviously, and it's rainy. But yeah, there is some odd.
Great food there.
Well, because Portland feels a little bit like New York, a little bit like Brooklyn, because it's like there's these kind of woody, or not woody, kind of these industrial-looking buildings. They're not as tall, but there's also lots of green spaces in between every part of downtown. But then there's not a lot of people walking around like New York, so it feels like you're a little bit in like a zombie apocalypse movie where you're like, where is everybody?
It's also interesting about Portland is that this start of this donut craze.
Yeah.
They're good donuts.
If you like donuts. I'm not a donut person.
Was it Blue Stars from Portland too? And they're like all over.
Blue Star, Voodoo, Pips. All I got to say is this. Don't wait in line for breakfast. If it's brunch,
Right.
if it's donuts.
Great advice right there.
You have already slept for 8 to, if you're me, 10 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait another hour to eat. I need food now.
I got like Jackie Mason in my ear, just giving me one-liners. Get out of.
I know.
May he rest in peace, Jackie Mason. But it's like these.
Best Caddyshack?
It's like, hey, prune Danish, and I was like, well.
Caddyshack 2, Jackie Mason?
No, that was
It's a
terrible.
better one? No? I'm just messing with you. I got Ben to laugh at least.
It's such a good feeling when
I
he
know.
does, because he doesn't give those away.
Yeah.
He makes you earn them. So, promising for LAFC. Frustrating loss, obviously. Not being able to put that away, and we'll get more information on the missed opportunities. Big loss because Portland kind of gets away from you in the standings.
Yeah.
They're
you could've
firmly in fifth, 4 points ahead.
You could have been 2 points back of the Galaxy if
Yeah.
you won this game.
But even a tie is helpful because you keep Portland, you stay on top of them.
Yeah, don't give them the points.
So you could still catch Portland. You could still catch the Galaxy. You
We
have
will
10
see them
games.
again in just a little bit of time.
And look, and realistically, if we had this 3-game spell where you have Portland, at San Jose, Portland, if you're going to lose one of them, this is probably the one. Tough place to play, yada.
Yep.
But now you have pressure. I think they can win these next two.
Yes.
San Jose is laboring a bit. We'll talk about them in a moment. But they're actually winning these crazy games.
Well, they've been in back-to-back 4-3 games.
4-3.
1-1, lost one.
Yes. That makes them very scary.
And
Or ripe for the pick.
and our old friend Matias Almeida has now blown a full gasket when it comes to referees and is on the warpath. I would not be surprised if he's pacing up those sidelines like a panther and just ready to pounce.
Well, they better not make do with him. Make goods here this week.
Yeah.
It's a big game. So they're in the playoff picture as well, a little bit off our. So they're looking at us the way we're looking at Portland. So Minnesota won over the weekend. Real Salt Lake's gone on a bit of a tear. Mm-hmm. So those.
Real Salt Lake was one of the teams that handed San Jose a 4-3 loss, or the team.
Thanks a lot, Earthquakes. So Real Salt Lake's 3 points up. Minnesota's just ahead. Those 6, 7. You could still finish as high as 4th.
Even if you won this game, you knew that every game, like Bob has said, it's 6-pointers from here on out. You have to try your best to run the table. I brought it up on the pregame. our friend Josh Gross, who I love Josh Gross, and because he's writing his articles, and he has to ask some questions where he knows like he may or may not get a good answer from Bob, and he says, there's 11 games remaining, 33 points on the table. Do you have, is there a way where you say, this is the mark we have to reach because maybe, it's maybe not realistic to win them all. So what number total do you have in your head? And Bob just goes, 33.
Yeah.
Doesn't provide anything else, just goes, 33.
Once he started ramping up that question, I was like,
yeah,
can't wait to hear the answer.
Well, I was like, is Bob going to, because Bob likes Josh too.
Yeah.
Bob gets it. Bob gets what Josh has to do. And I'm like, is Bob going to give him a good answer, or is he going to shut him down here? And he just goes, Bob's going to like get you, like he's going to sting you because he sees it before you do. And he gets like a little twinkle in his eye and he just goes, a little smirk, 33.
We're very fortunate to have Josh Gross, a tremendous author, tremendous writer, and he writes about LAFC. He has an incredible book that I read about Muhammad Ali fighting Antonio Inoki, which is this staged fight. Now we have all these weird staged fights. Highly recommend it. Josh Gross, fantastic.
I've been taking journalism tips from you on this podcast, but if I was really going to take journalism tips from somebody, it'd be Josh. Like Josh is a true journalist, and in the truest sense of like the traditional form of not this gotcha journalism that we're seeing a lot of things. Like the man lives it, honest. He goes about his work very honestly, and I love reading. Yeah, we need more of that, more coverage like that.
He started MMA, obviously, and then he got in the back books of Dana White, and he's not allowed, which is an incredible story, but we won't get into that.
Anyone then could go toe-to-toe with Dana White and still come out the other side and say, yeah, I'm not backing down.
Good.
I like that guy.
Good. 3 games coming up, then the break. So October 3rd, and then the next game is October 16th.
Yes.
At San Jose this Saturday. Wednesday, LAFC Portland.
Hosting Portland. And
then Sunday, October 3rd, at the Galaxy. Then you have a 2-week break, and then very urgent. So these 3 games will determine a lot.
How many points?
33.
9.
9. I will say 7.
7.
Is that enough?
Yeah, 7 puts you in a good spot, but it feels like you really need 9. You
really need...
I don't think anything is... It's MLS. Nothing is catastrophic until... usually about the middle of October. Usually with a month to go, you could still make a run. But once you're like, oh, there's 5 games left, 4 games left, then you're really. But I think that LAFC has aspirations, and they still even though this was a pretty big setback, 4th is within reach. 4th gets you a home playoff game.
They kind of do need it. If you win these 3 games, let's just say 7 points. You reach that break, you're like, okay. If you get to that October 3rd game after you've played the Galaxy and you're looking up you're in 8th and you're looking up, that's
7 points.
That's going to mess with your head.
7 points put you on 40. Traditionally, like 45? It gets you into the playoffs. So you're feeling pretty good there. But again, 4th place. You got to be all in for 4th place.
And one thing you have to keep in mind is everyone's playing each other.
Yeah.
In the West.
Well, like you said, we just played Portland. Now we play San Jose. Then we're going to play Portland again. Then the Galaxy. Then back to San Jose. Like,
do you know Portland play, by the way, coming up?
Who?
Inter Miami. So that's the one departure, but everyone's schedule's kind of the same. They're all playing the same folks.
I can't remember. Oh, I think I looked at RSL's run in, and they play Chicago at some point.
So always one East.
It's so weird.
It's like you're almost just keep it all West and East if you're going to come. We have New York City and Atlanta. They were fine, but
yeah, they really should have just got it. But if they were going to do that, those Eastern Conference games should have been within like the first 5 games of the season. Then we just go all Western Conference, and it's just
which is very true. The teams that make the playoffs really earned it because they played everybody here. So that's why.
That's true. It's interesting. If you're going to not have playoffs, a balanced schedule is the best way to go, right? However, if you're going to have playoffs, you want to just play those teams as much as you can so you really earned it. And that's a good point, Max. Another good journalism tip from Max Brados.
So San Jose, we already played them up there, and they beat us pretty good.
Did not go well.
Did not go well. I can't imagine it will look like that again.
They beat us pretty good, but the scoreline, 2-1.
We play better. A team like that, which is very fragile and doesn't really know itself or how it's going to play. It's a different style now. It's more practical
is another
and pragmatic.
Team that we need to, when we have advantages, capitalize on.
Right. I'll say this. If you want 9 points, you got to beat San Jose on Saturday.
Is this a must-win?
Yes.
No,
No, it's not a must-win.
What's the most dangerous lead in soccer? No, I'm kidding.
I could empty the chamber. So San Jose, entertaining. Chofis has been amazing, scoring a ton of goals. He did very well when we played them last time. I just don't know. I think we'll see a better LAFC effort, and if they play better, obviously with these Portland close calls in their head and a full week of training and everything, maybe a step closer to getting some of these injured players. We haven't mentioned Eduardo Atuesta. We don't know. We hope he certainly comes back too. It's a good situation, but this again is a huge litmus test for LAFC.
Yeah, when we saw them play Portland, we did say it was 2-1, but they had the bulk of the chances, right? We had 1 or 2 chances to maybe draw that game. That's probably the best we could have asked for it because the start was so nervy and so just catastrophic. The organization was bad. To your point, Chofis was just feasting off the fact that our midfield wasn't sure if they were coming or going. We weren't sure if we were playing fast or slow. If we play like we did against Portland, we will be creating the bulk of the opportunities. And then at the end of the day, just like it's been for LAFC all year, it's all about the finishing.
Midfield, Pancho, Crisostomo. Probably I thought they did okay.
Look, I'm going to do a breakdown of Daniel Crisostomo for 110 Football for the Friday show. I really like, for a guy that came from USL, he has seamlessly transitioned in the ideas. And that's what they said.
Connects plays really nice. Gets that
connects
ball
play
off his
really
foot.
nice. He's simple. Tough. Doesn't take too many extra touches. That's what they said when they got to him. When he got to Vegas, they weren't sure what player they were getting because he originally came from Orange County SC, and then he thrived in the new kind of culture and the new philosophy that LAFC had because, like we said, it's a top-down thing. LAFC pushes that down to Vegas, and it's shown. Because the second he got here, it wasn't like, I got to kind of learn the ropes in MLS. He's like, no, just keep doing the things I was doing. And he's kind of blended in seamlessly. I mean, it's a tough position to play for a guy that... It's a
massive position because those two guys will allow Sifu to get up with Brian and Chicho a little bit more. And if they can eat up whatever the midfield in a certain kind of way and defend and win ball, game changer.
Yep.
So I feel confident with that pairing. I think Crisostomo is the kind of player that makes anyone next to him look better.
Yeah.
Because he does the dirty work.
He does the dirty work. And again, simple. Doesn't take more touches than he needs to. Moves the play along. He does what you expect him to do. Kind of goes, he goes up station to station. He moves the ball, moves the next. Yeah, Dave Bowie, I know.
Love that song.
Great record. He sees the game the way you would want a midfielder in the job that he does, especially in a pairing.
Saturday, LAFC at the Earthquakes on KCOP, May 13th. Check it out. We'll have a game Wednesday as well on Bally Sports, home against the Portland Timbers. That's a good spot to drop it, okay?
Wrap up.
We feel good.
I feel great.
All right, good.
I think we did another podcast without a guest where I feel like we did actually a good job.
We did. Rate, review, subscribe, share with a friend our little podcast here. And if you're on YouTube, thanks for helping us build that as well. We'll see you again next week as we recap a couple games for LAFC.